pleased to have members of the Yale Entrepreneurial Institute in, and I've been trying to get you guys here for about 6 months, so this is great. We have Fannie Lee, we have Star Childs, and we have Jim Boyle, so thanks so much for coming in. Jim, start out by telling me what this is all about. It started in 2007. What are you trying to do at YEI?
We saw an opportunity to help students start ventures. We actually came to the realization that students were trying to start ventures back in 2006, 2007.
They were trying to be innovators right before the crash.
We were trying to be innovators, and we didn't really have any resources for them. So the university actually said, let's take a small amount of money, and let's see whether we can get a small group of students to start ventures over the summer.
How small? How smart did you?
12 students. 12 students.
Yeah.
We gave them each $5,000 stipend and said, spend the summer with us and see whether you can get your venture off the ground. And that was the first summer.
And how did the first summer go?
Well, modestly successful. Of the 10 or 12 students in the room, I think 2 raised between $100,000 and $450,000. So we were.
Now that's amazing to me.
We were pretty happy with that. We thought that was a good outcome for the first
With their
summer.
ideas.
With their own ideas that they had come up with in the dorms.
You know, putzing around and thinking about, let's make a Facebook, right? Well, maybe that's Harvard, whatever.
Right.
So, Fannie, how did you get involved in YEI? How did this come to be?
Right, so YEI has what is called a technology commercialization program, and basically it pairs Yale students with professors, and these are professors who have patents, who have amazing technologies that don't have anybody to help take them to market. So it was through the TCP program that my CEO got involved with Tummy Zen. And
okay, we have Tummy Zen right here. I'm just going to shake this little thing. Tummy Zen, okay. And so you were in on the development of this. It's an antacid.
It's an antacid, and it was developed by Dr. John Geibel, who is the vice chair of surgery at the Yale Medical School. He's been working on this research for 10 years. It's really his baby. And
let's show the website too as you're talking.
Sure.
It's tummyzen.com. We should say.
Tummyzen.com.
Right. So so he developed it and brought you in to do what?
So he has the science behind the product. We helped bring the actual product to market. So that means developing the product specs, making sure that the labeling is right, manufacturing the product, marketing it, selling it, distributing it. So we sort of take the product from the science to the people.
So what did you learn in doing this?
A lot of
how hard it is, and who did you guys pick the packaging?
We picked the packaging. Actually, we had partners that YEI provided to us to help with some of the design, and the actual design was by a Yale undergrad. So
which is awesome.
It's awesome because it's a collaborative effort from everyone in the university and within the greater New Haven community.
And after all this, you want to be an entrepreneur and innovator and make a go of it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. So.
And why is it fun?
Because you go in, every day is a new challenge, and you work with a great team. You're always discovering something new, and you're building something that can change the way that people, think about acid reflux.
And acid reflux and change the world in many ways.
Exactly.
All right, Star, let's talk about CitySense. So how did you get into this group?
Certainly. Well, unfortunately, I can't claim any responsibility for Tummy Zen.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a great product. I come from a different background, more city planning, urban design, and ended up at Yale to pursue a master's in environmental management. For me, that is really a focus on urban studies. And while I was here, I decided to think about the planning world and the real estate development world and how technology might help the process of building cities.
All right, let's show the website, CitySense. Describe to me, you'll see it right here. Describe to me that's a great building in Fairhaven, which is in New Haven, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
What am I going to get when I go on this site?
Well, I think to explain this site, I'll actually back up and give a bit more context.
You're allowed, you can back up, no problem.
Okay. The idea behind CitySense is to understand that we're growing as a country. The U.S. is growing by about 52 million people in less than 36 years' time, and that's a lot of people, but it's hard to really visualize that as far as how it'll unfold. One of the metrics that I have been using is New York City, in some ways, as a way of visualizing this, because people know how big New York is.
So is this site about planning? Is it about urban planning? Tell me.
It's about planning. It's about community development and using the existing momentum from a city as far as their planning initiatives to carry forward and provide more accessibility for the private developers as to where these opportunities for partnering with the city exist. So it's complicated, but the idea is to take that 52 million people that we're going to absorb in the next 36 years and provide them with opportunities to live in cities where they can have a more valuable lifestyle, a more sustainable lifestyle, and help the cities with that tax base that so many of our U.S. existing cities need to fill.
You've been quiet, Jim, so you should come in now.
I should add something here, that the ideas that Fannie and Star and all the dozens of other people who we bring into the program are sharing with us are because we have a very large external board of experts, investors and entrepreneurs from
took a look at it.
From other disciplines who know a lot about these spaces. So it's not just us inside Yale saying, we think he has a great idea, we think she has a great idea. We try and engage as many business experts as possible to say, this is a really good one. If this one gets off the ground, it could have impact. But we're looking for scalable ventures that can actually raise lots of venture capital, hire employees, and if they stay in this area, have large economic impact.
But this, we should say this is just for Yale students.
This is just for Yale students and their co-founders. They don't have to be exclusively Yale students. There have to be Yale people on the teams.
Got you.
No one else on my team is from Yale, as a matter of fact.
So where are they from?
Well, actually, I take that back. Our web developer went to Yale for history. And
So you have
pursued
to
a
find the
master's
web
degree.
developer. You have to develop all of this stuff.
Fortunately, I grew up with our web designer in a small
Nerds,
town.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
and we have a real estate broker on our team who went to Cornell with me for my undergrad
Okay,
degree.
so you're equal opportunity. You can bring in other Ivy Leagues. That's
Absolutely,
good.
yeah. Equal
Over the
opportunity.
years, since 2007, Jim, what kinds of ideas have come into this think tank, if you will, that have gone to market?
Well, I'll take you to the first idea. The very first idea that raised that $450,000 stake I told you about a few minutes ago, their idea was to build a massively multiplayer online game based on Risk, where college populations all around the country would be playing this game against one another. And that game was called Go Cross Campus. And eventually, after it raised about $1 million, $1.5 million, it flopped. And the people who started that venture said, what are we going to do next? Two of them actually sat back and said, we like the idea of actually running our own accelerator. So they started something down in New York City called General Assembly, which today is one of the largest technology incubators in the country that's raised over $50 million. So from that first failure, we have one of the biggest startups that's ever come out of Yale.
Well, Fannie, if you're going to be an innovator or an entrepreneur, failure is part of getting to where you want to get. And you can toil away at these ideas and they can never get off the ground, or they can get off the ground. Are you ready to take that on?
Well, as an entrepreneur, every day you sort of think, oh, where can I fail? And you do know where you can fail.
See, I hate that. Thinking I'm going to fail, but like I said, it's part of success.
That's the thing, though. You know where you can fail, but you overcome that and you find a way around it, and you find that the right path that you should take. And it's part of knowing where you can fail that you could actually overcome it. Because if you don't know, then it just comes at you blind.
Do you deal with that too, Star? Do you think about, I'm going to fail, maybe not? I mean,
You can't avoid it, obviously. I
But
think
it can be so
part of the
costly.
trick is to be a little bit less affected by it when possible, and to take your time and realize that there's certain things you just can't control.
right.
I think there's a certain mindset that the people who are successful in starting their own ventures embrace, and that's being comfortable with uncertainty, more so than most other students. I think especially at very aggressive schools, very high-end schools like Yale, where people sort of progress their whole lives going from top of their class in grammar school, top of their class in high school, top of their class in college. Then all of a sudden, start my own venture. What does that look like? What are the milestones? Who are my guides? What does success look like? It's altogether easier for a great many people just to go look for a more traditional place where they can be someone's intern and take a normal job. It takes a certain personality to be comfortable with the idea of setting out on their own.
And
It sure
I
does.
certainly wouldn't qualify as the model for top of my class.
Well, okay, that's good. That's very honest. So you gather people around you. You mentioned what came out of one of the first years. So what other products came out of this?
Well, one that gets lots of attention in the media for the last few years was an MBA student in 2009 who came into the program and said, I'm passionate about grilled cheese. I want to open a grilled cheese restaurant.
Cheese boy.
Cheese boy. And for anyone who's driven up and down 95 or been in South Station in Boston, you've seen all the kiosks where he now sells his sandwiches. The questions that investors put to him in the early days, every single investor in Connecticut turned him down for money. They asked him the question, do you know anything about real estate? No. Do you know anything about retail food? No. Do you know anything about licensing? No. But he was convinced he had a better formulation for making really tasty grilled cheese sandwiches and served us copious amounts of grilled cheese all through the summer of 2009. We all put on tons of weight, and he eventually found one investor who had enough faith in him to back him, and ever since then he's been successful.
And look what happened. So is he going to stop with that, or is he going to build other things?
He's continuing to build his chain of stores.
And he's regional now, I think?
He's regional. He's in 4 different states.
And I got to say, I've tried it. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
There's some cardboard furniture came out of one of these.
There's a young man who based here in New Haven named Zach Rothhold who operates a company called Cherigami. We're right upstairs from his small factory on the first floor right there on Whitney Avenue. We have a venture called Panorama Education, one of the more successful ones that's come out of YEI, that builds survey technology for helping parents and students assess the effectiveness of teachers in the classroom. They're in dozens of different school systems all across the country already, and they were only launched in 2012.
What's the end game to all this? Do you just see this growing and growing and growing, or do you see this being a TV show someday called Shark Tank? I mean, because you're kind of doing that. You're putting these ideas before your board of directors, your advisory panel, and saying, "Can we do this?" I mean, what?
I think when we started it in 2007, it was more a knee-jerk reaction to, oh, we don't have resources for students. Let's see whether we can create a few resources for students. But the ante has been significantly up since then. If you look around at higher education right now, and what all the other peer institutions are doing, we're all trying to encourage innovation amongst the student populations while they're still students. We're not waiting for graduation to ask them the question, do you have an idea? We're asking that question of them, sometimes on the way into the college experience.
So this is Yale-centric. Folks watching this outside of the Yale hallowed halls, how do they get involved? Or can they take your model and do it somewhere else? Or I guess they can get on a team. But how does the general population look at what you're doing and apply it somewhere?
That's a great question. I mean, I think we've tried very hard at Yale to partner both with the city of New Haven as well as with the state. In the city, it's with the Grove. And in the state, it's with Connecticut Innovation. So we have relationships with them where we try and encourage entrepreneurs who want to work with us to get resources either from the city or from the state.
And I think working together and networking is the way forward in so many things, because so many things changed after the collapse of the government in 2008.
Right,
I mean,
right.
things just got broken, if you will.
Right.
So good luck with Tummy Zen. Good luck with City Sense.
Thank you.
And I expect you to come back and bring in more brilliant students and more wonderful ideas.
Happy to do so.
So thank you all for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.